Hello, everybody. This is Empowering Democracy. It's another Dump the Corruption show. Our topic for today is AIPAC's donors, and I'm your host, Joe Firestone. So, there was a very interesting piece that I caught on Portside, but it originally was published at the Lever. It's by Amos Barshad. And after I shared this stream on Facebook, I will share this piece. Here we go. So let me share the piece now. This was very well researched. The post is called Inside the Israel Lobby's New 90 Million War Chest. I'm not going to do the whole post in this stream. I'm just going to cover the section dealing with the AIPAC donors themselves. Okay. Again, this piece was originally published by the Lever, or the Lever. I forget what they call it, the Lever or the Lever. I suppose it's the Lever. But anyway, we're going to do the section on who are AIPAC's donors in this stream. And we'll come back later today at 8 o'clock and 8:30 for some of the other sections of this article, which this is a terrific article. AIPAC is legally designated as a 501c4, quote, social welfare, unquote, organization. That means contributions to AIPAC do not have to be made public under federal disclosure laws. Traditionally, AIPAC has kept the identity of its biggest donors a closely guarded secret. The list of donors that the Lever reviewed offers insight into the sources of AIPAC's resources. Most of the pledges on the list range between $100,000 to $200,000. In case you hadn't heard, that's big money. Around 20 donors were between $500,000, that's $500,000, and $2 million. One pledge was an outlier at $11 million. The pledge was credited to Mr. Anonymous, unquote, and Katie Chudnovsky. The pledge contained personal contact information and a short bio that identified, quote, Mr. Anonymous as Leonid Radvinsky. Based on his name, I'd guess that he's a Russian immigrant, okay, to the United States. The, quote, elusive, quote, owner of the content platform OnlyFans. In March 19, 2009 edition of the Chicago Tribune, Chudnovsky posted an announcement of her wedding to Radvinsky, writing, quote, we will work hard to enrich our marriage and to live life with dignity and education. 2018, Radvinsky, a computer programmer and tech investor, purchased a 75% stake in OnlyFans from its original founders and has since seen the platform boom in popularity, fueled in part by increased internet usage during the COVID-19 pandemic. In the 2022 fiscal year, OnlyFans subscribers spent $5.6 billion, and reportedly, Radvinsky took in $380 million in dividends. Did I say 330? $338 million in dividends. OnlyFans, best known for hosting adult content, takes a 20% cut of its creators' earnings. Subscription fees range from $4.99 to $49.99 a month. Perhaps for $49.99 a month, you get the good stuff. Many content creators have become wealthy off their fans' earnings. But as the Washington Post reports, the platform, quote, suffers from a problem of incredible pay inequality. In 2020, an independent researcher cited by the Post, I guess that must be the Washington Post, found that the, quote, the top 1% of accounts made 33% of the money, and that most accounts took home less than $145 a month. Wow. Beyond Radvinsky, the list of donors reviewed by the Lever was dominated by finance and real estate professionals. According to the list, that includes Daniel Sondheim, founder of the investment firm D1 Capital Partners, who pledged $2 million. Milton Cooper, executive chairman of the real estate giant Kimco Realty. He pledged $1 million. Tony Ressler, co-founder of the asset management firm Ares and owner of the Atlanta Hawks, pledged $1 million. Jonathan Gray, president of the Blackstone Group, the world's largest private equity firm, pledged $1 million. In an internal email sent to the employees of Blackstone Group days after October 7th and obtained by E-Jewish Philanthropy, Gray and Blackstone CEO Stephen Schwarzman wrote, quote, "We will be there for Israel throughout this crisis." Okay, all I have to say about that is people can have different ideas what being there for Israel means. Given the fact that Israel is committing genocide right now, and that it's slaughtering many thousands of people, okay, in Gaza, and continuing its slaughter even after a decision from the World Court said that it was plausibly committing genocide and asked it basically to cease and desist on all its military activities, okay, in Gaza. It seems to me sticking with Israel should mean doing what Jewish Voice for Peace is doing. That is to say, doing everything it can to stop Israel from creating a situation where the whole world turns against it and destroys it. Seems to me that's standing with Israel throughout this process. But the Blackstone Foundation, I guess, or Stephen Schwarzman anyway, has a different idea of what standing for Israel means. The Blackstone Charitable Foundation will be making a $3 million contribution to support humanitarian relief efforts. Well, the best thing Blackstone can do in that regard is to tell the Israelis to let the humanitarian relief efforts through, because right now they're blocking everything. Also, we are each committing $1 million personally, and other senior partners have already generously committed approximately $2 million. Wow. In 2021, Blackstone opened an office in Israel to tap into the country's tech industry. The head of the office, a former Israeli Defense Ministry lieutenant, told the Times of Israel that, quote, all of a sudden Israel is ripe enough to be a relevant partner for an entity like Blackstone, unquote. Josh Harris, co-founder of the private equity firm Apollo Global Management and co-owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, the New Jersey Devils, and the Washington Commanders, pledged $500,000. Lloyd Blankfein, former CEO and current senior chairman of the investment bank Goldman Sachs, pledged $100,000. Before this, I never knew that Lloyd Blankfein was a piker. Aside from finance and real estate, the list was an eclectic mix of powerful Americans. Julie Platt, chair of the prominent Jewish Federations of North America, and the actor Ben Platt's mother pledged $500,000. I must admit, I don't know who Ben Platt is. Shlomo Rechnitz, not sure how he pronounces it, reportedly California's largest nursing home operator, pledged $260,000. That's $160,000 more than Blankfein. I told you Blankfein was a piker. Last year, Rechnitz agreed to a settlement after being indicted on charges of Medicare fraud. Judd Zabersky, founder of the toy company Jazzwares, which makes the TikTok beloved Squishmallows, and claims, quote, putting a smile on children's faces is the heart of everything we do, unquote, pledged $250,000. In a LinkedIn post immediately following October 7th, Zabersky wrote, quote, remember that Israel is fighting for its very existence. This is hitting close to home for many Jazzmanians, unquote. Okay, all I have to say about that is that the money being contributed by Zabersky is not putting a smile on the faces of the many, many children of Gaza. That's for sure. Mark Penn, a longtime political operative, pledged $100,000. Penn is the CEO of the Stagwell Group, which owns the political consulting firm co-founded by President Biden's senior advisor, Anita Dunn. As Semaphore has reported, recent polling done by a company owned by Stagwell has indicated widespread support from Americans for Hamas. That polling has been covered by media outlets around the world, despite glaring indications that its methodology is deeply flawed. Leslie Wexner, former CEO of Victoria's Secret, pledged $100,000. Alberto Perman, co-founder of Zumba, pledged $100,000. Research via email, Tony Ressler declined to confirm or deny the information, writing, quote, don't want to be rude, but please do as you wish. I don't know you or your publication or organization. Wishing you all the best, unquote. The other individuals named above did not respond to multiple requests for comment. One of the most prominent names on the list is Representative David Trone, a Democrat of Maryland, the owner of a massive liquor store chain who is now running for a U.S. Senate seat. Trone has been an on-the-record AIPAC supporter for years. According to the list of AIPAC donors reviewed by the lever, Trone pledged $100,000 last year. The Trone campaign spokesperson confirmed, to the lever, that Trone was a, quote, a minion member, unquote, level donor in 2023. Quote, the minion member phrase, unquote, is AIPAC's term for donors who pledge an annual sum of $100,000. In Judaism, a minion, quote unquote, is the quorum of worshipers required for communal prayer. So, to have a synagogue service, you have to have a minimum. You have to have a minion of 10 people. A minion is 10 people. Trone is seeing AIPAC support come back to him. Over the current 2024 election cycle, he's already received $105,600 from donors via the AIPAC PAC, and that doesn't include any money he might receive from the AIPAC Super PAC, specifically the United Democracy Project. During a town hall with voters, Trone also recently expressed impromptu support for a ceasefire in Gaza. Interesting. Individuals on the list who confirmed to the lever they were AIPAC donors mostly explained their support for the organization in ways that mirrored AIPAC's own messaging. Richard Thalheimer, founder of home electronics company Sharper Image, pledged $100,000 in 2023. Thalheimer told the lever that he's donated at the minion level for years. Quote, and some years have been higher, unquote, he added. Quote, AIPAC is doing an outstanding job of getting our policy members and Congress members to visit Israel and understand what is really going on. These educational visits then support policy and funding decisions which strengthen our bond with Israel, unquote. And quote again, ensure continuous funding and technology sharing for mutual defense. October 7th motivated me and should motivate everyone who supports democracy to give additional funding to AIPAC in Israel, unquote. I think it should motivate people to give additional funding to Jewish Voice for Peace rather than AIPAC, who is always, it seems, in Netanyahu's corner. Ken Alterman, former CEO of the thrift store Savers, Inc., also pledged $100,000, according to the list reviewed by the lever. Alterman did not confirm the size of his donation amount, but did identify himself as a donor, adding, quote, I support the mission, building U.S. and Israeli relations. I'm grateful that happens, unquote. Jacob Klein, a New Jersey real estate developer listed as a $100,000 donor on the list, confirmed that he was a minion member and said he donates that amount annually. AIPAC is, quote, a very important organization. I value their work a great deal, unquote. He told, he said to the lever. He added that since October 7th, he's, quote, more motivated, so I'm going to do more, unquote. Paul Berg, the 90-year-old founder of the drug ingredients manufacturer Spectrum Chemicals, spoke more emotionally when reached for a comment. Berg lived through Nazi control in a Jewish ghetto in modern-day Ukraine during World War II. He confirmed being an AIPAC donor, although he denied the amount described to him on the list of donors reviewed by the lever, $150,000, and declined to specify the amount of his 2023 donation. Quote from Paul Berg, "Now is not the time to criticize Israel," unquote, he said. Quote, "Israel has suffered tremendous damage, not only from its enemies, but also from its so-called friends. With friends such as Mr. Netanyahu, you don't need enemies. AIPAC is very important for Israel and the Jews in general. The people who want to destroy Israel intend to destroy the Jews from everywhere. Doesn't stop with the Jews but from America," unquote. Berg further said, "I will give my life for Israel," quote unquote. And quote again, "and I never lived in Israel," unquote. So I have a couple of things to say about that last piece, okay, and that is, why are these people so sure that they're right in assuming that the best way to help Israel and to safeguard its continued existence is to give money to AIPAC? It plainly is not true, because AIPAC, of course, is supporting a blank check to Israel, which is being used by the prime minister there to carry out a genocidal campaign against the Palestinians, which is rapidly turning the whole world against Israel. In Israel, we are at the brink of getting a major intervention if Arab and Islamic nations behind it can come together. And they have been meeting. They have been talking. They're trying to figure it out. In 1947 and 1948, Israel was surrounded, by Arab nations. But the Arab nations were ill-armed, and ill-organized, and not very good at fighting. And the Israelis, at that time, who were not very well armed, but who during the course of the conflict became far better armed, were able to fight them all off. But the effort by the Arabs in 1948 was not very coherent. And while the strength of the Israelites was much, much less, too, I should say the Israelis was much, much less as well. We now have a situation where the populations of Egypt, Iran, and Turkey, and this doesn't count Iraq, Syria, people of Lebanon, the people of Jordan, the Houthis, of Iraq. We're talking about just the three nations I mentioned, populations of 250 million people, vastly outnumbering the 7 million or so Jews who live, in Israel. It is dangerous to the existence of Israel to support Israel in its conduct of what looks like it might become a regional war. That regional war will threaten the existence of Israel. If one wants to give one's life for Israel, one should be doing all they can to bring this war to an end as quickly as possible and to conclude a settlement that allows all parties to live and to prosper. I'll take a look to see if I have any comments at this point. That's pretty much all I have to say for this stream. I see there are 2 folks here. Thanks for coming. I know this was not announced very far in advance. I'm sorry for that, but I did say to look out for me during the late afternoon. So here it is. If you want to be notified of my YouTube streams, then please ring the notification bell, and please do share, like, and subscribe to increase the viewers on these streams. I'll be back again at 8 p.m. tonight. I'll have 2 more streams then. In those streams, I'll be dealing with how AIPAC works and how AIPAC gets its donors behind it. The first of these streams will be at 8, and the second will be at 8:30. So you can look for them on this channel at that time. You also can look for me on my Twitter channel, which is Joe Firestone, PhD, and on my Facebook page, which is which is actually Let's Get It Done. What the hell is my Facebook page again? I'm sorry. My Facebook page is Joseph M. Firestone. I swear it used to be Let's Get It Done. I have no idea. Oh, yeah, I see. Facebook.com/Let's Get It Done Joe is what it's identified as, okay, on the internet. But there, it's Joseph M. Firestone. So you can tune into me on any of those pages. And if you'd like to make a contribution, okay, you can go to my Buy Me a Coffee account, okay, or my Patreon account. I'm at patreon.com, Joe_Firestone, and at buymeacoffee.com, Joe.Firestone. So thank you very much for coming, and I shall sign off now. Have a great afternoon. See you later.